Where there's livestock, there's dead stock. Welcome back to Talking with Jazz with your host, BigDaddy0. Today we're talking chickens. We're talking the country. We're talking Tree Change. It's the Tree Change, the series. Not the musical. I haven't done a song yet. Today I want to talk about chickens. A lot of people fantasize about having chickens. I'm going to get chickens. I'm going to have hens. I'm going to have my own homegrown egg. As well as gardening. I found that chickens have been really good, but it took me a really long time to learn how not to be a bad farmer. You have to do it through experience because it's a bitter experience. Chickens are very fragile and you want to do the best for them because you get them. You can buy yourself a hutch, you can just get a cheapy one or whatever. And you put them in the garden. You know, some people put a little fence, they make these gorgeous little, round houses. It doesn't always work out like that, Because invariably, a fox will find your chickens. And it'll be on the day that you'd forgotten to lock them up. And this has happened to lots of people. It's happened to everybody. Anybody who's ever owned a chicken has lost a chicken. Where there's live chickens, there's dead chickens. How one learns how to look after chickens is a mystery to me, really. The chickens kind of teach you, I think. They're not terribly smart. They mostly are fearful little animals. And the thing is, you want to do the best by them. You want them to be healthy because they are little crazy protein-producing pluckers that, work their little heart out and drop out these amazing edible food that can sustain you for a very long time. And if you knew what went into the chickens that you own and you feed them, then you feel better about, what they're doing. You'll never need a compost heap because they will just destroy anything that you throw in there, including any, meat or bones. Don't throw raw bones in there. No. It's not like a dog. But they will kind of clean up scraps and so on, whatever it is you've got. And if it doesn't, it just rots on the ground. And that can be a problem in itself. But you always find rats and mice anyway, so. The misnomer is that your chickens need to free range. Sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? Free range, they're running around the garden. Well, it seems like a good thing for their health. But it's not so good for your health when you've just had your head eaten off by a fox, is it? You have to compromise. I found that the best thing is to bring the garden to them. You pull up weeds, you give them to the chickens. You peel potatoes, you give them the peelings. You give them everything you can, as well as food. I also found one of the things that, when I say food, I mean proper chicken food, right? That's what you do. You just go and buy chicken food from the food place and throw it at them. They love it. They also need water. Make sure you don't stuff that one up. Because the worst thing that happens to chickens is not getting cold, it's actually getting hot. And being dehydrated and hot is the recipe for a dead chook. Apart from the foxes, which is always a recipe for a dead chook. So, I got a book. I haven't done a prop for about 20 years. Here's a book. It was bought for me. I would not buy myself a book. What a waste of time. Anyway, I graciously received that book and was quite excited by it. But I found a flaw within about 3 seconds of looking at it. I went and found some section. I just randomly chose a section. And as soon as I opened the page, I realised, you can overdo these things because it was talking about wiping your chicken's bottoms. Now, in my experience, don't touch your chickens. You know, I know it sounds cute, you know, pulling your chickens out and giving it to your kids to pat. You know, I know that sounds cute and everything, and you know, the kids think it's fantastic. I can assure you the chickens hate it. The reason they're sitting still is not because they love, you know, being touched or having their bottoms wiped. They're just petrified, and they realise they're about to die, or at least think they're about to die. Be very gentle with your chickens and just touch them minimally. Sometimes I have to catch them in order to sort of throw them over the fence because they've come over into the wrong side, you know, because chickens can fly apparently. So just be gentle. The other thing I found out was diatomaceous earth. Two things actually. Diatomaceous earth. It's a sort of ground up seashell concoction which you put into their food every month or so, and it keeps them worm free. It's a chemical free way of worming chickens because you don't really want to give your chickens worm treatment, do you? You have to think about that for a second, because what you really want is lots of worms underneath your chickens so that you can go into their little house and dig up that area, and then those chickens will eat those worms. Because as these little chicken things are in fact these protein making machines, they actually need an input of protein. That's what they're desperate for. That's what their food is largely made up of, if you look at their pellets and so on. That's why they love cheese. Chickens love cheese. It's good for them. It's actually really good for them. It's full of calcium. It's full of protein. It's full of fat. It's everything they need. I always feed my chickens cheese. Not a lot. Just a little bit. Just for fun. Just so that they know that I love them. I don't let them run around, and I don't wipe their bottoms. But when I first started with the chickens, I thought to myself, free range. And that's when I lost my first flock. Yes, it was a sad day. It was a Father's Day. Because it was my responsibility, and still is my responsibility, to lock up the chickens at night. Open the... You put them in the cage in the night. In the morning, they stay there till about midday. After they've laid their eggs, you let them out. Okay? You can wait. Sometimes it's about midday, sometimes a bit after, maybe 2 or 1, when their eggs actually appear. So, you know, you got to be sort of consistent with it. And then they run around in like a small yard, which now I kind of insist is fenced in. But on this Father's Day, I did have a sort of party of sorts, I guess, you know, like father do. I bought myself a magazine, you know, about Land Rovers, and sat and read it. And forgot all about my chickens until about 9:30, and I heard this sound, which sounded like a chicken being strangled. And sure enough, went out there, and they were all dead. All 5 of them, I think, were dead. It was not a pretty sight. In fact, I couldn't find 5 of them. I could only find 3 of them. I think 2 of them had already been dragged off. Because the fox will come and kill them, then take them. The last time I had a fox strike, I lost 3 hens. And it was... they'd been the longest up until that point, so I sort of worked out a bit of a routine. One of the things I've worked out that is, if I set an alarm on my telephone that rings at 8 o'clock or whatever, then that reminds me, and I go and lock them away. That's been a very successful strategy. The other thing that's been most successful for me has been a fox light. It's this weird light thing that you put in the backyard that flashes. And you just put a battery in it, and it lasts for about a year and a bit with just one battery, which is great. And it's true to say, I have never lost a single chicken to foxes since the fox light. Now, things could change because, I've still got the same flock. And it was a great day, the day that I buried my first chicken that died from old age. It was just a sad little chicken that had laid eggs sort of every day of its life. They burn themselves up, basically. You know, they don't have a great life. They're just bred to pump out protein. Anyway, there it was. Sad and flat. That's what I noticed about it. Sort of, I bet the other chickens had stood on it. You know, they didn't care. They're not that emotional. You know. But it was a great day because it had died of old age. Why don't you just have a great day? Thank you for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Did you know I make one of these for almost every day? I know, I sometimes miss a day or two. I've got to have a break sometime, right? And sometimes I get busy doing other things. But anyway, let's ignore that. If you don't want to miss one of these episodes, then you have to subscribe. It's free. It's fun and it's real. You just have to go to YouTube and you press subscribe. And you will be notified, if you like it or not, that another episode has been released. I try and let them go at 6:30 almost every day. So why don't you subscribe now? There's a link below in the description. Then you will have a great day.